This video is brought to you with thanks from NoGuff88. Okay, let's continue to see if 1v1 is unwatched by people. We will keep that hand. It's Sythis Harvest's Hand versus Yidris Maelstrom Wielder, by the way. And we will grab ourselves... I can't remember if I've got the Snow tap land in here, but we'll just go for the Shattered Grove. Yeah, the views on the 1v1 videos took a complete nosedive at one point, so I'm trying, I think this is my third attempt at 1v1 games, and we'll see if people actually watch them. I think Sythis is one of the more popular commanders, and yeah, let's get Sythis into play here. She's one of the more popular commanders from recent memory, and I haven't been able to play with her again because Magic the Gathering or Wizards of the Coast won't stop releasing new sets. So I'll try to get some more videos out in 1v1 and see if people actually watch them. Apparently we do have the Snow land available to us. So let's go Fertile Ground onto the Yavimaya. And that will draw us a card and gain us a life with our Enchantress commander. Our opponent decided not to counter that if they did hold up counter magic. Get the tap land into play, and I'm not going to bother swinging in at my opponent just in case they've got some kind of flash creature. It's not worth the 1 point of commander damage. Drew into Calyx, Destiny's Hand, by the way. So there we see ourselves a Birthing Pod, no creatures in play yet, thankfully. And there is a Heroic Intervention as well, so... yeah, why don't we just go for Calyx here, I think? Or maybe we should just go for another Enchantress with the Idyllic Tutor. Yeah, we'll go for Calyx. And then we will plus on that. And hopefully get into an enchantment off the top. Well, there's Kenrith's Transformation, Carly Heart Expedition, and Nyxbloom Ancient is nice. A few turns away from Nyxbloom Ancient, though. I think we'll go for the Kenrith's Transformation there, and we'll try and keep their commander out of play as best we can. Yet another tapped dual land with the Canopy Vista, and we will swing in this time because I'm not going to block with the Sythis anyway, and it's not likely they're going to get a blocker out here. Now a Loaming Shaman, that's not going to do too much good for them. Shuffles any number of cards into the library, it's a 3-2. But they do get to sacrifice it, of course, and get into a 4-mana creature with the Birthing Pod. And there we have ourselves a Huntmaster of the Fells. So I think... well, we'll see what we draw into. Another land. I think ticking down on the Calyx is the thing to do there. They can get down a 1-mana creature with the Birthing Pod, but I'm not too worried about that. Yeah, so let's tick down on Calyx and get rid of the Huntmaster. That can go under the Fertile Ground. And then we'll just throw a Forest into play here. Let's go for Idyllic Tutor for another Enchantress. And we'll just go Enchantress's Presence on that. I'll probably block the Wolf with our commander because I don't mind casting it again into an Enchantress's Presence, and it also keeps the Calyx in play as well. Another land for us. So we'll hold back and wait for the Wolf to come in towards us. All these lands are discard fodder for the Solitary Confinement at least. A Cyclonic Rift gets rid of the Fertile Ground, so that brings back the Huntmaster of the Fells, and just like that we get into board wipe territory. We do have Stony Silence, which would switch off the Birthing Pod, so maybe could have gone for that instead of the Presence. Anyway, sacrificing the Huntmaster. And there's a Phyrexian Delver. So that can reanimate the Huntmaster of the Fells. They lose 4 life and get another Wolf into play. So I think our Calyx is pretty much done for now. Yeah, we'll just try and conserve as much mana as possible then. Because we're going to draw a decent number of cards here. A Starfield of Nyx. And that triggers at the beginning of the upkeep. Don't have any of our enchantments in the bin at the moment. We can go Solitary Confinement and buy ourselves some time though. Let's go Fertile Ground first, which triggers both our commander and the Presence. And just keep drawing into lands, unfortunately. So I think it has to be the Solitary Confinement then. And again, draw some cards from our Enchantresses. Alright, there is a Wrath of God, so that's likely what we're going for next turn. So let them do something with Birthing Pod and then wipe the board. Seems to be the plan here. So we'll just throw down the Wooded Foothills in case we need a shuffle effect at some point. And we will have to discard down to hand size, so could always get rid of an enchantment for the Starfield of Nyx, but I think we'll just get rid of some lands here. And all these creatures coming in towards us, we will just take it. We're not going to take any damage unless they can get rid of the Solitary Confinement. And now getting rid of the Phyrexian Delver again with Birthing Pod. And they grab themselves a Bane of Progress, so very much happy that I held up the Heroic Intervention here. So all of our stuff has Hexproof and Indestructible there, so the Bane of Progress won't do anything for them. Except blow up their own Birthing Pod, that is. So I don't necessarily feel the need for the Wrath of God now, because we've got On Thin Ice. Yeah. I don't know, maybe just going On Thin Ice onto this thing is the way to go here. It was the Birthing Pod with creatures in play that I was worried about, but now we've obviously had that dealt with. Solitary Confinement, we will discard a Verdant Catacombs to that. And we skip our draw step with Solitary Confinement as well, so let's go On Thin Ice. And we'll put that on the basic land, because they're the safest things in 1v1. There's no Strip Mine in this format. Draw 2 cards, of course. And we get into an E-Witness. So On Thin Ice can get rid of the Werewolf before that flips around. And then we'll throw down the E-Witness as well, I think. And we'll go for the Idyllic Tutor again to try and get ourselves into another Enchantress effect. Won't be playing it this turn, but it'll be good to have it in hand. Haven't made a land yet, so we could have gone for the Calyx as well. Drop a land and go for the Idyllic Tutor. And we'll grab ourselves the Eidolon of Blossoms, because that is an Enchantress creature, of course, so we can tutor for that with the Idyllic Tutor. Pass the turn. And we're likely just discarding the Branchloft Pathway next turn, because that is a land. And we're likely going to draw into more lands with all these Enchantresses. Oh, there's another scary one. A Prime Speaker Vannifar. That's probably going to eat a Kenrith's Transformation, I think. Back round to our turn. The Confinement will have us discard a land. And the one thing that makes Solitary Confinement not really have much of a downside for us is the fact that we can draw so many cards here. So cast the Eidolon of Blossoms. It will trigger the other 2 Enchantresses, drawing us 2 cards. Eidolon of Blossoms triggers itself on entry as well. And there are some more enchantments. Mirari's Wake is very nice. Don't think we're going to be playing it this turn though. I think it is Kenrith's Transformation on the Prime Speaker Vannifar. Of course, drawing more cards with that. Okay, and we haven't made a land yet, I don't think, so Reliquary Tower will be nice. Drew a total of 4 cards from the Kenrith's Transformation, because it does draw on its own entry as well. Alright, and getting into some decent ramp now, so we'll throw down the Reliquary Tower. Utopia Sprawl can go on the Canopy Vista, which of course draws us more cards, and we now don't have a hand size that we need to worry about thanks to the Reliquary Tower. Maybe should have put that on Reliquary Tower actually, so that it could tap for both green and white. Eidolon of Blossoms draws us as well. And now how's about a Sterling Grove to keep them from getting rid of any of our stuff. They'll need a board wipe at this point, and they've already used the Cyclonic Rift. So Sterling Grove gives all of our stuff Shroud. And we've got a bunch of discard fodder as well as a replenish. That's nice insurance. So even if they did get into some kind of mass board wipe, we can get all our stuff back now. A Song of Creation. That's a really good one that I've never managed to play with. We've got 4 in hand at the moment. So pretty risky one for them, but there's all kinds of combos you can do with that. Not being able to play any more cards, so they are now in top deck mode. They just had a bunch of reanimation. Animate Dead. And Necromancy, I had a feeling that we would see Sheoldred after the Bane of Progress, because they didn't seem that bothered about wiping the board. Dark Confident as well, so yeah, really missing black mana unfortunately for them. Not going to bother tutoring with the Sterling Grove here. Just discard a forest to the Solitary Confinement. And yeah, if we get a bunch of enchantments in play, we can start looking at Starfield of Nyx. Mana doubler first of all, I think. So Mirari's Wake coming into play will buff all of our creatures. as well as give us a bunch of mana to play with. And then of course we draw cards as well, so we've got enchantresses in hand as well, just in case of a board wipe that we can't gain any benefit from. So we tap down that one land and we can go Overgrown Tomb, just throw that on the Yavimaya, I think. I think we'll try and get down Karametra this turn. Okay, Teferi's Protection might change things, although I don't think we need to worry about holding up Teferi's Protection just yet. If we played the Greater Auramancy, that would give all of our Enchantment Shroud, because this one currently doesn't have it. Yeah, I think we're still okay to go for the Karametra. So drawing a bunch more cards, of course, as the Enchantress decks tend to. And we've got more insurance there as well, so it's looking like a pretty foregone conclusion here. Maybe we just get another Enchantress into play. So I'll throw down the Command Tower. And let's just go for the Ground Seal as well. Want to get as many enchantments into play as possible for the Starfield of Nyx. And it does look like our opponent is a Reanimator deck, although most of the Reanimator stuff is in the bin, so maybe don't need to worry about it. We don't have our Sun Titan in hand anyway. And we have drawn into Karmic Justice, which is usually a good one to get in play, so we'll throw that down as well. That will be our turn, I think. Okay, that's a good one, so that will be good to get blockers out of the way next turn, potentially. I'm not sure if we're going to have anything close to lethal, but a couple of turns of swinging in with Animated Enchantment should be good. Yeah, and our opponent did the admirable thing there. They played it out, see what card they were going to draw into. It might have been that they could have chained off a bunch of stuff with the Song of Creation, but wasn't looking hopeful for them. We've drawn a load of cards and we have a lot of protection here. Anyway, it's imperative that if you enjoy the 1v1 content, that you support it and give thumbs up and comment as best you can, because this is really going to dictate whether or not I play 1v1 games anymore, because I've tried it a couple of times since the views have dipped and they're just not getting the views that they used to, and if I'm not getting the views that I used to get, then there's not a lot of point in me putting all this effort into constructing the videos. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know if you did. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.